兇手犯案趁因分贓問題將隨康割喉殺死。隨康唔係我殺，今次單嘢我會走。
早啲返啊！
Hi, I'm Dr. Nicole Wyre, and I am a veterinarian who is a specialist in birds and exotic companion mammals.
我已經做醫生啦，咁我主要係做急症嘅，咁貓狗其他綜合醫術都會做嘅。
Yeah, so that's a macaw. Specifically, this species is a green-winged macaw. They are large parrots, so they're not as common in Hong Kong as they are in other countries where people tend to have a bit larger spaces. But yeah, we do see them as pets.
咁佢好有可能就係目擊兇案發生嘅唯一活口。
好啊，咁你負責同佢落口供咯。
Well, there have been some interesting cases of parrots that have helped with their owners. So, for instance, if an owner has been, sometimes if an owner is attacked, the bird will also attack the person that's attacking their owner. And they have found some DNA on the bottom of their claws. Also, there's some parrots that are good at repeating things, and so they have helped out with crimes in repeating, either mimicking the voice of the attacker or someone who broke into the house.
佢當然認得出見過嘅嘢啦。個問題係你用咩方法令佢表達出嚟先？
都有嘅，咁但係始終佢哋有時記嘅嘢，或者佢哋有時講嘢咧，未必會係完完整整 copy 晒出嚟，咁所以有用，但係未必一定100%。
警犬就有啫，冇警長嘅喎，本身喺度㗎。
Well, for parrots, particularly those large birds such as macaws, we recommend having the largest space that you can for them. It is great for birds to not have to be in a cage, which is wonderful, but you do have to worry about them chewing on things that they shouldn't. One of the things we always worry about is heavy metal toxicity, which in that I can see there's lots of metal that could be a little bit concerning. But in general, having birds that are free-flighted in a safe area, in a safe enclosure is great. Yeah, so ideally if you have a cage, you need to make sure that it's the biggest cage that you can fit in your flat, which again is why it's difficult to have macaws in Hong Kong, because you would need a gigantic space for them. So having outdoor aviaries is always ideal. Like you can see a lot of the outdoor aviaries we have here in Hong Kong. Always if a human is not with the bird, we recommend that them being in a cage or a safe place so that they are not able to chew on things that they shouldn't. Well, so it's interesting because birds in general, the way they communicate with each other is nonverbal communication. So they use their eyes, they use their feathers, they use their positioning to communicate with one another. Now, macaws are from the Amazon rainforest, so their voice can travel for a mile. And so they will do what's called a contact call. They'll do some communication with one another. But in general, macaws tend to communicate more non-verbally. Now, when they're living with humans, we're too dumb to pick up on all of these things. So they're trying to communicate with their eyes, with their feathers, with everything, and they're like, you don't understand what I'm saying. So a lot of times then they need to vocalize because they're very smart. So they hear us vocalizing, and so they want to be part of the conversation. So they are doing a form of communication. We just are not understanding what they're saying.
佢咩事啊？
哦，佢咧吞咗啲唔消化嘅嘢落肚。
睇下個問題喺邊，因為如果係真係食咗嚿嘢，跟住造成一個物理嘅阻塞咧，咁佢哋可能會嘔啦，即係食乜嘔乜啦，甚至啲便便越嚟越少啊，成個人好唔舒服嘅。咁但係如果你話佢哋真係中毒咁樣嘅話咧，佢會成隻都病咁樣，即係好攰啊。如果正常，如果我哋係見到佢真係吞咗佢的話咧，咁當然嗱一聲帶佢去獸醫度啦。因為如果係個 crop 嘅位置咧，如果佢哋啱啱食咗落去咧，仲喺嗰度咧，我哋有機會可以就咁用內窺鏡。 咁樣褪翻上嚟夾出嚟嘅，係啊，要去睇醫生啊，係。
Parrots are usually pretty intelligent and they're not going to eat things that they shouldn't. They like to chew on things and break things up. So for instance, macaws, the way that they build nests is going into dead trees and like dig. So they love to chew on wood, they love to dig in wood, but they don't necessarily swallow it. So it depends on what they've eaten. So there's certain things like avocados that are okay for us to eat that are toxic for birds. And so that could definitely cause a problem. Heavy metal toxicity is a common poisoning that we can see. injury. And again, that can be from them playing with something that they shouldn't, like chewing on walls, potentially of lead paint, chewing on like some metal particles. And once again, they're not like eating the whole piece of metal. It's just a lot of what we see is them eating the particles or the dust from it. That causes the problem. So different species will have different signaling for them being alert or excited or upset with something. So a lot of times they'll take their feathers and try to make themselves look really big. So they'll pull up their feathers, like cockatoos that have a big thing like this, open their eyes really wide, change their pupil, sometimes be agitated by flapping the wings. They don't tend to, parrots don't use their feet a lot they use it for feeding themselves, but they don't use it necessarily for a lot of defensive or communicating.
今次呢隻鸚鵡叫做蝦佬啦，佢係個 BB 嚟㗎，咁所以如果人多咧，佢係會驚。
Parrots are super smart, and depending, and it's going to be individual, just like not all dogs like to be in movies. But a lot of birds love to interact with humans, love to have a task. Now, there's not all parrots that are going to like it. Some are nervous and some are scared and don't want to come out of the house. But in general, they love having things to do and being positively rewarded for those things.
但係你嘅手續搞好晒啦，你拎返去慢慢傾啊。
Okay, so specifically for macaws, well, all parrots, we recommend as soon as you adopt them, for them to come in for a health check with a veterinarian. We usually do some health screening, including some testing for certain viruses and certain types of bacterial infections that can be contagious to other birds and some that are contagious to humans. And then just for routine care, then we recommend that all birds come in for at least a 6-month health check and then routine blood work at least once a year. During the 6-month health check, one of the biggest things we do is talk about proper nutrition. Macaws specifically have a higher fat requirement when they're babies than other species of birds, so that's something that's really important to make sure they're eating properly when they're babies so that they develop properly and then don't have problems when they get older.
首先我係覺得雀仔係屬於個森林，係我覺得雀仔唔係屬於個籠，唔係屬於一棵樹，係屬於個森林嘅。咁但係當譬如我哋真係有隻雀仔已經養緊啦。咁我哋湊咗佢返嚟啦，因為每一個品種好唔同嘅，佢哋有啲壽命50年、70年，咁所以要為佢嘅人生打算啊，因為唔可以湊1-2年，跟住哎呀好麻煩啦，就俾咗人哋㗎啦嘛，咁所以就真係要 plan 嚟緊個50年喎，咁樣係咯。